the Middle East Report with James Dorsey, award-winning scholar and journalist with a different perspective on the Middle East, and a senior fellow at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies in Singapore. James, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on Radio Islam.
Ibrahim, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. Let's start off with Gaza. Pursuing diametrically opposed objectives, Gaza ceasefire mediators are working at cross purposes.
Indeed. So what we've seen in the last week or 10 days is that Qatar and Egypt, two of the three mediators alongside the United States, has exerted pressure on Hamas and persuaded the group to accept a month-old ceasefire proposal initially put forward by the United States and endorsed by Israel. At the same time, the United States and Israel seem far less interested at this moment in a temporary ceasefire that would halt the fighting for 60 days, allow for an exchange of Israeli prisoners or Israeli hostages held by Hamas for Palestinians incarcerated by Israel, and would enhance the flow of desperately needed food and other humanitarian goods into Gaza. Instead, the United States and Israel want an end to the war on Israel's terms, rather than on the terms of what was negotiated initially in the temporary ceasefire proposal. So what you basically have is a situation in which the Qataris and the Egyptians are trying to salvage the situation, get whatever kind of ceasefire they can get, maintain or ensure that the road to a independent Palestinian state is kept open, while the United States is and Israel are attempting to close that road and to ensure a total defeat of Hamas in Gaza as part of an end to the war.
Now, the prospects for a Palestinian two-state solution appear increasingly bleak as Israel presses ahead with its military campaign to seize control of Gaza City while advancing a major settlement project that would sever the West Bank from East Jerusalem.
Indeed. In fact, you saw as much at a meeting at the White House on Wednesday, which was chaired by President Donald Trump, attended by senior U.S. officials. And towards the end of the meeting, Israeli Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer, a confidant of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, was invited to join the discussions to lay down what Israel's red lines would be in a resolution of the Gaza war and a process that would follow. And it was very clear from those red lines that there could be no role for Hamas or for the West Bank-based internationally recognized Palestine Authority in a post-war Gaza. The United States further has indicated that it no longer sees, basically in a break with longstanding U.S. policy, that it no longer sees the creation of an independent Palestinian state as crucial to the resolution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, or as a pillar of U.S. Middle East policy.
And even so, Egypt has begun training hundreds of Palestinians to be part of a force of up to 10,000 to provide security for the Gaza Strip. And this is as Arab countries rally around a vision of post-war Gaza without Hamas.
Indeed. So what the United States and particularly Israel wants to see in post-war Gaza is a multinational or Arab peacekeeping force. The United Arab Emirates has already said that it conditionally would be willing to contribute troops to such a force, and an administration in Gaza that would neither involve Hamas or the Palestine Authority. And in advance of that, the Egyptians are now uh, training several hundred Palestinian security officers who would then be part of a multinational or Arab peacekeeping force, and if you wish, give it a Palestinian fig leaf.
And long dismissive of international public opinion or criticism from Israel's allies, Prime Minister Netanyahu appears to have hope of winning the information war on the back of an ill conceived communication strategy and the overwhelming evidence that discredits Israeli assertions and arguments.
Indeed, Netanyahu recently acknowledged that Israel was not able to compete um, effectively in the cycle of social media reporting on what happens in Gaza. Granted, a lot of that reporting may be inaccurate, but nonetheless, it shapes the part of the narrative over Gaza. Uh, Netanyahu essentially said the speed with which information, whether accurate disinformation or misinformation, spreads across social media is such that Israel cannot keep up with that. And so, to address that problem, Netanyahu has said that Israel has to have a much greater influence, if not control, of the algorithms that social media platforms use to determine what appears on their platforms and what does not appear. Uh, it's essentially an extension of Israel's efforts to squash debate about Israeli policies and certainly squash criticism of Israeli policies that we've seen reflected in the Trump administration's crackdown on freedoms in the United States, including academic freedom, protests at universities, protests in the streets of American cities, and similar crackdowns in Western European countries. And that crackdown, and if you wish, censorship, uh, is what Netanyahu would like to extend to the social media. To be fair, companies like Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, have already been cracking down on pro-Palestinian or pro-Palestinian expressions, um, as well as those that are critical of Israel. Israel is the foremost originator of requests to Facebook and Instagram to take down postings that are not of its liking.
James, thank you so much for joining us on Radio Islam International. Always a pleasure to have you with us on the airwaves of Radio Islam, and have a lovely day further.
Thank you, Ibrahim. The pleasure is always mine.
Bye. That was James Dorsey joining us